Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Brastad.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Reinert.
Here.
And the record will show we're all present and accounted for. Next, I'd entertain a motion for tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye. That item passes. We'll move to item 5 on your agenda. Consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending May 20th of 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meisner, second by Commissioner Look. Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, this requires a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
And that item passes unanimously. On to item 6 in your agenda, approval of the minutes from the May 24th, 2022 County Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Brastad has moved the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Any changes to the minutes as presented? Seeing no changes, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will likewise pass unanimously. Next, we have one item under Chair's remarks today, and that's to recognize our County Attorney, Tony Palumbo, for receiving the Douglas K. Amdahl Career Achievement Award from the Minnesota State Bar Association Public Law Section. Also here to be recognized today is Attorney Ann Zimmerman, who works in the County Attorney's Office's Civil Division Protective Services Unit, and was presented the Public Attorney Award of Excellence in Civil Law from the association. Both awards are profound achievements, and the impact these two individuals have made in our county and in the field of law is commendable. Now I'm going to ask Anoka County Chief Deputy Attorney Marcy Crane to talk more about the awards and the accomplishments of Tony and Ann. Marcy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Marcy Crane. I'm the Chief Deputy County Attorney, and it's my honor to tell you about these prestigious awards and to tell you a little bit about the award winners, Ann Zimmerman and Tony Palumbo. These awards were given in recognition of the highest level of achievement in the state for public lawyers. Ann and Tony are very worthy recipients of these awards. I'll start by telling you a little bit about Ann Zimmerman. Ann is the sort of attorney who does well every place she goes. When she was selected to receive the Public Attorney Award of Excellence in Civil Law, it surprised no one who's familiar with her work. Our office is so lucky to have her, and we're very proud of her accomplishments. Ann has been an attorney in our office for about 7 years, first in our juvenile division, and now for many years in our protective services unit, doing civil commitment work. Her work includes civil commitments, guardianships, and indeterminate commitments as a sexually dangerous person, sexual psychopathic personality, or mentally ill and dangerous. Her work helps keep vulnerable people and our communities safe. Ann is a recognized expert in civil commitment practice, and from time to time, some of our legislators call upon her to seek her opinion on proposed legislation. And finally, Ann may be the only person in the room with both a license to practice law and a boiler's license. And from there, I will move on to tell you a little bit about this award that was given to Tony Palumbo, our county attorney. Tony doesn't have a doesn't have a boiler's license to the best of my knowledge, but he has, however, had a remarkable career.
Never too late.
The public law section of the State Bar Association recognized him with the Douglas K. Amdahl Career Achievement Award. Tony's career spans 45 years, all of it with the county attorney's office here in Anoka, serving the citizens of Anoka County. He's practiced in every part of our office, from child support to real estate to criminal and juvenile prosecution, civil litigation, and other practice areas in our office too numerous to list. In our office, he's led with a steady hand, and he's been wise and very calm, which I and many others certainly appreciate. He has supported and cared deeply about our staff, our office's mission, and the amazing work that the office does. His legacy, influence, and contributions extend beyond the office. He has fostered a strong relationship with our law enforcement community and values that relationship highly. Public safety has always been a driving force for Tony and for our office under his leadership. And that emphasis on public safety also informs his leadership at the state level. He is the chair of the Minnesota County Attorneys Association's Urban Board. Tony has spent a career and a lifetime caring about and for the community around him. Public service drives him. He views it as a great privilege with tremendous responsibility and is guided daily by doing the right thing. To Tony, public service is about providing a sense of comfort to victims, making the community a better and safer place to live, and being a good steward of the public's trust and resources. And finally, on a personal note, those of us who work in the county attorney's office have reaped the benefit of his mentoring, teaching, and deep caring for the staff and attorneys who have the good fortune of working under his leadership. He's my boss, my mentor, my teacher, and my friend. I'm so proud of him, his professional accomplishments, and this award, which he so deeply deserves. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, Marcy. I think it's appropriate that we hear from both Ann and Tony. Ann, would you like to come to the podium and share a few words with us? Congratulations on your award.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with each of you. I'm very humbled, very honored, especially to stand alongside Tony. I would really appreciate the opportunity to continue to work for Anoka County. It's a great county. For those curious, I didn't know Marcy was going to bring up my boiler's license. Now Then Threshing Show, third weekend in August. We display antique steam engines, so that is something my father taught me, and that is why I'm a public servant today, because my father, my mother taught me to always give back, and that's why I went into the county attorney's office. It's certainly not for the big salary or for the perks, but it is for the opportunity to give back to our community. So I'm very honored that I'm able to do that, and I'm very honored that Anoka County has been so receptive to the work that I do. Public service is one thing, but our folks who suffer from mental illness and chemical dependency, they need our help, and it's not always the work that's the most recognized because it's not flashy, it's not criminal law that will be on the front page of a newspaper, and frankly, we never want it to be. So I'm very grateful that Anoka County supports that work, and I appreciate the award. And I appreciate my paralegal who nominated me for that award. I wouldn't be here today without her because she does a lot of the work that makes the rest of us look good. So thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. Thank you for the nomination and the award, and I appreciate working for you.
Thank you, Ann. Congratulations. And then we'll turn to our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I certainly appreciate the recognition. Marcy, thank you for those nice words. As you will, I would deeply humbled and embarrassed by that, but thank you for doing that. And let me just say, Ann is exceptional. She has been a very, very good attorney, very dedicated to the work that she does. And it's extremely important work. As she said, it doesn't always get the headlines, but let me tell you, it makes real impact on real people and real families and in the community is absolutely essential work. She does outstanding job, and she's very deserving of that particular recognition by the public law. Me, I get the award. They give it to usually somebody who's about to retire, so that's really very nice. I'm not sure if they give you a paddle and put you out on the ice floe or not, but I'm very honored by it. I knew Justice Amdahl. He was Chief Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court, and I knew him, and he was a very compassionate man, and to get an award in his honor is very humbling for me, and I'm very grateful for it. And thank you for the recognition today. I didn't expect it, but I am very pleased that the board has chosen to do so. Thank you.
Well, my fellow board members and I are more than proud of our excellent attorneys who work long hours and take on heavy caseloads to ensure victims of crimes are afforded the justice they deserve. Congratulations again, Tony and Ann, for being recognized by the Minnesota State Bar Association. Your awards are well-deserved. As a side note, I want to say how fortunate we are to have Tony Palumbo working in our attorney's office for over 45 years, the past 11 of which has been as our Anoka County attorney. There are few attorneys in our state who have the type of expertise that Tony has built during his career. He's been an asset to Anoka County and to the entire field of law during his career, and his work has changed the lives of countless people for the better. Tony is certainly deserving of a relaxing retirement, but he's going to be missed. There's only one Tony Palumbo, and it's been a privilege to work with him over the years. I've become friends with Tony over the years, and that's as important to me as his work as an attorney. I congratulate him wholeheartedly on a fabulous career, which, by the way, Tony's not done yet. You've got a few more months. And you will earn your keep. We're going to work you. But I must say that having somebody survive that long as an attorney is impressive, and with the career stats that he's put up is it's pretty awesome. And it's awesome to have him as our Anoka County attorney, and I thank you for that, and I thank you for your friendship, and wish you the best in your years of retirement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate those remarks.
Certainly. With that, that does conclude Chair's remarks and brings us back to the Management Committee report. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The original agenda is informational only. We have an extra 2 items on the extra agenda. By item 1A, to refund, transfer, restructure, fill position, and I was going to have Steph come and explain this because it's a little unusual.
Welcome, Steph.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, good morning. I'm Steph Bito-Zemer, Chief Human Resources Officer. So this morning, an action item is before you, and this is because of the direction the county is moving in centralizing our talent and performance management and our learning management approach at the county, bringing it together where previously it was within many different departments and divisions, and primarily IT had a full-time equivalent role that performed this work. This type of work is really about required learnings for all employees to make sure that we are compliant with things that they need to know and do as part of their work here at the county. It also is related to leadership development. So as we are moving to ensure consistency in all individuals who are in leadership roles and how they work with those who report to them, and also with all employees and their opportunities for professional growth and development, and a new library that will have thousands of learning and training opportunities for them that they and their manager can sort of chart their pathway for professional development. All of these initiatives brought into a centralized approach into human resources. And so within IT, the individual who performed some of these functions, primarily around creating some of this content and its deployment, has retired. And IT has a need to retain that position because of increased business needs. And so what has happened is the work has transferred to human resources, but not a person to do the work. And we need a person to do the work. So an additional position, an existing position, has been identified that does not need to be utilized in the way it was created. So the budget director position, we are looking to downgrade that and transfer that into human resources, making that a senior human resources business partner to complete this work that now is within HR and centralized. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Steph? Mr. Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry. So I understand that you need a person to do the work, like the responsibilities have shifted over, and so we need a person to do it. And then but it's moving from finance to human services. And that's just a restructure altogether.
Commissioner Meisner, so the position itself formerly was in the Finance and Central Services Division. It is vacant, so it exists, but it's vacant. They have restructured how they conduct their business and no longer have a need for it. So in conjunction with administration, this position was identified because it exists to say it needs to come over to Human Resources to fulfill that work, so IT can continue to redeploy its own resources at the same grade level to do the other work identified.
Yeah, I guess what I'm wanting to make sure that I'm connecting the dots with, so when you say vacant in finance, does that mean, I'm wondering if it's completely dissipated or now it's floating around somewhere else where it's going to be, it looks different, but the budget portion of it is still floating around in finance. That's what I'm just trying to connect the dots with.
Sure, Commissioner Meisner. So the way I sort of think about it is as if the county has a number of positions, some of which are vacant, and they can be redeployed where business needs are. So it's taking this one, verifying with finance, you no longer have a need for it, which they've indicated they do not, and then saying HR now has this need to do the work and it's being redeployed. So it's taking it from one pot, if you will, and redeploying it to another area. So it's not increasing FTE,
Okay.
It's not doing anything more than just moving it where the resources are needed to meet the business needs. If that helps.
Thank you very much. I swear, I was trying to keep up. Thank you. I got it.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Commissioner Reinert?
Yeah, I guess Steph made the point I was going to right at the end there. You know, my understanding of this is just a restructuring of a position. It's not adding a position.
Right.
And Commissioner, if I may add, it's a downgrade too. So it's taking it from what was a 17. This will be a grade 13. So there's that piece of it as well.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Reinert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brasted. Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
That item passes.
And the next item is approving a request by the Attorney's Office for compensation rate adjustments according to the market rate study completed by Human Resources Department.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there, Tony, would you like to, would everybody like a explanation of what this is from our county attorney? Yes, please.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The Human Resources Department has been conducting studies certainly throughout the county, and they did for the Anoka County Attorney's Office a market rate adjustment. And we in the County Attorney's Office have reached a crisis point, as I stated earlier in the Management Committee meeting. I've had nearly a dozen people leave within the last 18 months for higher paying positions. They've gone elsewhere. I've tried to recruit and have not been able to even get anybody to respond to my Attorney 3 postings in the criminal division, which is the most experienced. So I've now had to restructure that, so to speak, and recruit at the entry level. And there just have been, I guess, numerous occasions or times throughout the last couple of years that it's been very, very difficult to not only attract but to retain people. And so I've asked Human Resources Department to do their study, and they have done an exceptional job in their professional capacity at studying what the market rate are, and they are making a recommendation, and I certainly fully support their recommendation to this board. And would ask the board to consider that market rate adjustment for the attorney's office based on their recommendations. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I will comment that this is budget neutral for this year, as we'll be using dollars from the attorney's office to fund it. With that said, as I said at the Management Committee, this is a big chunk for next year's budget and subsequent years. It doesn't go away, and Personnel, as I stated, is our biggest expense, and this is one division amongst a great many in our county that need some work. This is a step towards fixing that, but we have to recognize that this is not budget neutral for 23, 24, 25. Those will be increases that will be necessary to maintain a workforce. So I will be supporting it. Further discussion? I think Commissioner Reinert had his hand up first, and then Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, just a couple points. You know, certainly we are not happy about having to increase the budget by this much going forward, but it is necessary to retain people. I should also add, though, that this is spread over 113 people in that department. Not all of them are getting a raise, but you know, it is it is a department of 113 people. So just to give it some perspective.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Meisner?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm going to repeat myself a little bit because this is now the second board meeting where this issue has come up in terms of market rate. Last board meeting, it was the union contracts for the sheriff's office. So I will be supporting this, and I understand, you know, the budgetary consequences, and I appreciate you fleshing that out for going forward. But the same thing that I said last board meeting, you know, I think philosophically it's very easy for us to say, yes, we support this here. And again, for me, I take that very responsible in terms of when it comes to budgeting and setting it when we have to set the levy. This needs to be done because Commissioner Reinert said, you know, again, this is a whole department of the attorney's office, but I see this across all departments throughout Anoka County. So this is something that we do have to address across the board, and so I will be supporting this.
And I guess for clarity's sake, we do have a Helios study that is currently being conducted, and the outcome of that study will look to correct many of our deficiencies across the county. This is being done in a little bit before that study comes in because it's, well, I liken it to a small fire. There's a fire burning, we got to put the fire out, even though we're not scheduled to put out any fires today. We got to put out a fire. And that's what this is. The rest of it, the Helios study will come in, and we will go about that process of adjusting and correcting salaries throughout the county so that we become competitive without being a leader. Commissioner Look.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was the question I was going to have, is whether this is a part of the Helios study that we're doing or if this is an independent study. I think the problem we're seeing right now is what they're referring to as the Great Resignation. A lot of people are shifting around, you know, leaving places, going to higher paying places. If, you know, with workforce shortages right now, people that allocate their labor wisely can do so for a financial benefit. That being said, I certainly don't oppose pay to be competitive. We need to be competitive out there to attract talent. We've seen this, welders, for example, there was a shortage of welders. They could pretty much charge whatever they wanted. Seeing a shortage on surveyors, they could charge pretty much whatever they wanted. Engineers, speaking of boilers earlier, we're having a problem with attracting engineers for boilers. And so there is very specific areas of the marketplace that that become a problem, you know, at some point. You know, it's not that you're paying less, it's that they're demanding more now, and all of a sudden you're caught in that. And so I think that this is important evaluation. The challenge I'm having with this is that in the background here it says that after a detailed market study was done and that we were considerably lower than the market. I have not seen this detailed market study. I have not read this detailed market study. I do not know to what extent this study has gone on or anything else. And I think for us to make these type of decisions, we probably need to see that information before this type of decision is made. We can't just go on and say, oh, absolutely, we're way behind without actually seeing the data. So that's the one challenge I'm having here is that if there was a detailed study, market study that was done, there was probably sufficient time to provide us with that information. We were not, best of my knowledge, none of us here were provided with that study. And so I'm wondering actually if we can, you know, if timing is critical right now. I know, Tony, you're having trouble hiring some particular positions, and we've made exceptions to certain positions. We've made exceptions to pay. That normal positions would be this much, but because we can't attract, we've increased for that specific area so as to attract more people. And I think that's a reasonable approach, and probably that exception should be made to help Tony out in this particular instance. As for the rest of this, I think we do have just a little bit of time to be able to read this information, evaluate this information before we make a $500,000 decision.
Commissioner West?
Mr. Chairman, Tony just told us, first of all, we've got our HR department who is the professional involved and has done a lot of the study that's so far, but Tony has presented a live example of the problem we have. And it's not just one person. He's lost 12 people. So to me, we can look at the details, but it's still, I have confidence that the details, when you see whatever you're looking for, is going to support making this decision. And, you know,
May very well.
we need to be able to hire as many people as necessary.
Thank you,
Now.
Commissioner West. Commissioner Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Commissioner Look. I agree. I would love to see that study as well, just because I like to look at the information and understand. I do disagree with you, though, in terms of needing that to gain at least my support, because for years, we are far behind. So again, this is the example of one department. Last board meeting, it was a sheriff's office. As a commissioner, I've heard this across all departments. We are addressing it, as you state, through the Helios. That's going to take time, but we're already behind in terms of supporting and giving resources to attract and retain talent. We're losing talent all the time. And then you mentioned, too, that there's other examples where we have customized, right, with our timing and with pay rate. And again, I own this. In 2019, I agreed to, with a market rate analysis, increase the salary of our administrator because, again, we were really far behind all the metro counties for that position. And what I said in my commentary is the reason that I'm doing it is because this is going to then allow, hopefully, all of us to support it department-wide. So it does need to be across all departments, and in my opinion, it can't be done soon enough. Thank you.
Commissioner Reiner?
Yeah, so, you know, this is a problem outside of Anoka County as well as in our county. Commissioner Look, you make some very good points as far as, you know, wanting to see the data, you know, be able to peruse that report. Commissioner West, though, you know, it does bring up the obvious point of the evidence is right in front of us. There's 12 employees that have left very recently. So in lieu of having the report in front of us to look at prior to voting, I guess I would ask Steph if you could come up and, if you have, maybe just a few bullet points of the report to share beyond the information that we've already been given, to maybe just, I guess, have a little bit more information prior to the vote.
Welcome again, Steph.
Yeah, so, sorry to give you a pop quiz here, but you know, if you could just add a few more bullet points.
Absolutely. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I'm Steph Bidozimer, Chief Human Resources Officer. And so when we partner with departments and divisions across the county, when these questions come up about retention and recruitment challenges that we are facing, there's a number of data sources that we go to really look at this information. And primarily they include an annual salary survey that we participate in, as well as other counties through AMC, a Keystone survey, and obviously we are working as a county with Helios on that classification system compensation study. So we have done this in concert with them on this occasion, where usually we don't have that added benefit. And so we have looked at data, we have looked at comparables for similar positions at other counties, and we have figured out sort of the method to the madness of where you have positions and what the requirements of those positions are, tenure in the role and what that is, as well as career ladders that come into play given a number of factors. Advanced education, obtained while on the job, number of years of experience, performing X number of cases, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's not as simple as just saying another county pays X and Anoka County therefore should pay Y. It's actually much more complicated than that because you have to take these factors into consideration. So that if you have an attorney with 20 to 30 years of experience who has capitalized on all these career ladders, yet you need to contain them within a maximum of a role, there's an art and a science to this that is very manual and by hand. So that is the work that Human Resources has done. We have then turned to Helios saying, here's all of the data and what we have looked at. Here's the market data that we have available to us. Helios, you are literally a national expert in this. So here's the data. Double check us. Look at this. Does this look too aggressive? Does it look conservative? Because we have represented as a county, we do not certainly want to be far above market and be too rich. We certainly don't want to be far too below market as well. There is this sweet spot given direction from you as policymakers about where likely we want to fall. Be competitive, have good talent, but not necessarily be too far outside of bounds. And so all of that work has been done. There's literally spreadsheets and information that we have then passed over to finance. Finance has then performed calculations based on hourly rate as well as benefits and more to literally by employee, and we have it identified not by name but by employee number, that we have then shared between us, and it has also been shared with administration. So we are being very transparent in that data. I can assure you, I feel that we are being, if anything, slightly conservative. What Helios has said to us is that certainly where this falls is hitting that mark, and if anything, when they come with recommendations and information that you will see in August at the workshop, they may have additional recommendations in time. You may order those to be farther down the list given the adjustment you may choose to make today if successful. So from my perspective, we have looked at county comparables. Those counties include the true comparables, so it's not just looking at some of our more robust, larger counties that we cannot compete with because of their size and their funding resources. So it's more appropriate comparables, and then done all the other layers that I have talked about, and then had Helios as the double check. So the quality assurance is there. We certainly have the data, as I've talked about with the spreadsheet with finance, that administration has. We'd be glad to talk through or answer questions as you see that too.
All right, thank you. I guess Mr. Chair,
Mr. Reiner.
I'd like to request that the report is forwarded to all commissioners to peruse then after this meeting.
Terrific. Any further discussion? Commissioner West.
I just want to compliment Steph on her skill and her knowledge and professionalism regarding this subject.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioner
I
West.
appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that item passes.
And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner West. That'll bring us back to our regular agenda where we'll move on to the Transportation Committee report. We had an opportunity to meet on Monday, June 6th of this year at the La Caparo Conference Room at the Transportation Division facility. We have a number of items for you to consider today. First, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the preparation of a highway right-of-way plat for improvements to the intersection of Hodgson Road and Anoka County State Aid Highway 32 and Ramsey County State Aid Highway 1, otherwise known as County Road J or Ash Street, in the cities of Shoreview and Llano Lakes. It sounds confusing because there's a lot of different names for those roadways. It's a rather simple intersection, actually, just a cross-street intersection, but it crosses into two cities, two counties, and so it has a bunch of different names. But here we're looking for approval of an authorization for preparation of a right-of-way plat. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I would move that resolution, and the reason for all of the different names is because we like our privacy in that area of the county, and so we're trying to confuse people.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That resolution is adopted. Item 2 on your agenda is very similar. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of that right-of-way for the project improvements at that intersection in the cities of Shoreview and Llano Lakes. This one will require a roll call vote when the time comes because it's actually the acquisition of the right-of-way, not just authorizing the plat. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I would like to move adoption of Resolution 2022 TR 28.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner Reinert. Further discussion? For those of you not on transportation, there is a property that, an auto repair shop on the northeast corner, I believe, that is part of this process and part of the acquisition. And we're still working through engineering as to how much of it we need and whether we're taking it all or a part of it, and some stormwater ponding issues and some other things. So that's really what the biggest part of this is. There are obviously other nuances in there, but that's the biggest point of concern. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That item passes unanimously. Item 3, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing Anoka County to enter into a local road improvement program agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for the Anoka Solution Interchange Improvement Projects on 10 at the intersection of West Main, Fair Oak, and Thurston in the city of Anoka. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
Resolution has been offered by Commissioner Look. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. As we all know, this project is underway. And so just for the public, maybe just a brief explanation of what this part is that we're agreeing to.
Sure. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee or the board. My name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Transportation Division Manager and County Engineer. So you guys have seen a number of action items come about this project. It's exciting to see that the ground has been broken. They're working tirelessly on this project, trying to shoot to get it done by the end of next year. So again, the end of 2023. So this particular action item, the county was fortunate enough to receive $15 million in local road improvement program bond funds in 2018. We've already went through the process of approving the contract for the design efforts that took place with their consultant. We also approved the right-of-way acquisition efforts through a subsequent agreement. This is the final agreement as part of that bond fund that it envelops all of the construction administration as well as the construction costs. So this particular agreement is in the amount of about $5.5 million that just about uses up the full 15 million. There's a little bit of change left in the bucket in case there's additional costs on the project, which we all know on a big project like this, there likely will be. But essentially that's what this project or this agreement is about. It's about the contract administration. The city's hired a consultant to help them out with the project, and then also the construction costs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any further discussion on the resolution? It has been offered and is before you. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That item passes. Before we get too far away from that item, I will remind everybody, if you're driving through that area, it's a maze. You really got to pay attention. Look at the signs. The temporary stoplights are up, but they're a little bit higher than usual, so you really got to pay attention. It's interesting. Traffic seems to be moving fairly well. I know the detour routes are also well trafficked. So at least I think it's working the way it's designed. But I would remind people to have conversations with your loved ones about how careful you need to be driving in those construction zones. Not just for other cars, pedestrians, but the workers that are putting in the time to make that roadway better for us. With that, we will move on to item 4. The committee recommends approval to enter into a joint powers agreement with the city of Ramsey for improvements at the intersection of Armstrong Boulevard and Alpine Drive in the city of Ramsey. Joe, do you want to give us just a quick update on this one before we get a motion on the floor?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this project is in the city of Ramsey on Armstrong Boulevard right at Alpine Drive. This intersection's been on our watch list for a number of years. There's been some significant crashes here with injuries. And so actually a few years ago, we received federal funding, Highway Safety Improvement Program funding. Sometimes you hear that referred to as HSIP funding to help us construct this intersection. The nice thing with that funding program is it'll It'll cover up to 90% of the eligible costs, up to a certain dollar amount. So nice thing with that is it saves our taxpayers some money, and we can improve a safety issue in the county. So the action item before you today is a joint powers agreement with the city of Ramsey. If you read through the agreement, you'll see that due to the benefit of the federal funds, which we always prorate and share with our local partners, their estimated costs right now are around $30,000. So that's a nice low number for them, similar to a project we'll talk about in a little bit here. The one caveat I'll put in there right now, the bidding climate right now is unreal. The costs have really gone up. We're gonna talk about that here with a few future items on this agenda, but the costs have really gone up. So we're gonna monitor that as we move forward with starting to bid these projects.
Is there a motion to approve?
I will move it.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion, Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say that we've had an open house in the city of Ramsey on this one. A lot of people attended this, a lot of the neighbors that are being impacted had concerns. And I just want to give a shout out to staff that they have really put a lot of extra effort in trying to help these residents and trying to modify it and make changes and in the end, try and make everyone reasonably happy. And I think that's a good goal that they had, and it's a good project. I don't know if folks will recall, there was I believe it was a woman that was broadsided with a dump truck at this intersection, survived it, surprisingly. And there's been a whole lot of other near misses and issues in this area. So I think some sort of control was necessary. What's proposed here is probably the right solution. And again, just kind of massaging the local residents to agree with the ultimate project was a job well done by staff, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Look, and I'll second that. Our staff has just lately really, and not that they didn't in the past, it just seems like it's a more intentional outreach to people that are affected by projects to make sure that their thoughts are taken into consideration and implemented when possible. It's easier to be an elected official when you have staff that work that hard to do the right thing.
Thank you, I'll pass that along.
Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would agree with both Commissioner Look and Commissioner Schulte. Looking at this diagram that we have, our picture that we have, you can see this is the perfect intersection for the plans that are in place, a roundabout. You don't have everything lining up exactly perfectly, and that's where we found that roundabouts work much better because it takes care of some of the sightline problems that you have, and where you get the broadside accidents like that, the T-bones that are serious and usually, in a lot of cases, fatal. So this is going to be, I know that a lot of people some people have issues with roundabouts. They get used to them and they're doing just fine. Leaving the sports center today, went through the roundabouts just fine, and they work great over there in Blaine, and I know they'll work great here as well. But thanks to staff for being inventive and understanding what type of intersections we need in some of these situations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Commissioner Look.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I failed to mention too, and if I can just speak for Mr. Chuck Delaney, the owner of Game Fair. Hopefully we can plan this after Game Fair so that it doesn't compete with the traffic that tries to get through there. You know, we have, I think, 50,000 people that show up to that event every single year. So it's a large event that Ramsey hosts, and a lot of people come in. So hopefully we can plan that around those type of events, so.
Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Look's point, he brings up an excellent one. Not only do we have the Game Fair to contend with, but also the Highway 10 diverted traffic that's trying to not only make its way around the Highway 10 project, but Trunk Highway 169 in Elk River is also under construction. And Armstrong Boulevard is one of those nice corridors that people can get off on. There's now an interchange at Armstrong and Highway 10, so it's easy to get off. You go over the railroad tracks and you can follow that all the way north. There's very little stop. Unfortunately, that means it takes a lot of abuse. It sees a lot of traffic. It does have an impact on the local residents, but this project is planned so that there will be one lane of traffic in each direction at all times. So to maintain traffic through this area.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
And that item passes unanimously. Next, item 5 on your agenda, the committee recommends award of a contract to Bituminous Roadways Incorporated in the amount of $10,132,719.84 for the second phase of the 2022 countywide overlay program in the cities of Andover, Blaine, Circle Pines, Coon Rapids, Fridley, Llano Lakes, and Ramsey. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Under further discussion, we'll start out with just saying that inflation and a competitive bidding environment have bit us. And this is one example of that. We discussed it at length at the Transportation Committee, but I'm going to turn to Joe for a little more of an explanation.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. You're spot on. Since we opened bids on this a few weeks ago, the engineer's estimate, as pointed out in this action item, was around $8.6 million. And maybe I'll back up a little further too as to why it's a phase 1 and phase 2 project. Typically, we let all of our countywide overlay projects together in one package. This year, because of the Highway 10 work that started off this spring, we had a few other corridors, specifically up in the northwest corner and now then and in Ramsey, that being Boss Street, County Road 22, and a few others in that area that really needed to get done before the majority of the work took place on Highway 10. So we decided to break it off so that we could get those projects out the door, the contractor can get started on them, and then we could continue to refine the plans on some of the southern, more urban style projects, which take a lot more planning and effort to put together. So that's a little background on why we split it up. Secondly, as we opened bids on this project, we did tweak the numbers somewhat, so we raised the numbers on some of our estimates for specifically the bituminous costs. It's an overlay project, so that's your biggest push there. We just didn't tweak them far enough. We were typically, like earlier this spring, we were seeing bituminous prices in the $60 to low $70 range. On this project, unfortunately, because of the market we're in, the cost of fuel, which in turn also relates to the cost of oil, and then just the cost of manpower, we were seeing bituminous prices in the neighborhood of $90 to almost up to $110 per ton. So that's 170% of what our typical cost is. Then again, so we looked at that, we thought about it, should we just cancel the project altogether? We thought long and hard about that. Looking at the market for the next 6 months to a year, we're not sure what next year looks like. If the fuel prices continue to rise like they're expecting them to do, we could see larger prices next year. And then even more importantly, the county's done a really good job of maintaining their roads. We take pride in that. We want to make sure they're safe, you can efficiently travel on our roads, and they're not causing issues. Because once you pull back the reins on doing maintenance work, unfortunately, you start to see it pretty quickly. So as Mr. Chair had pointed out during our committee meeting, we need to make sure that we stay on top of that. So with all that information in front of us, not knowing what the market's going to look like in the spring, knowing that a few of the projects that are actually in this program, one of them is $3.5 million itself. It's right next to Mercy Hospital. It's Coon Rapids Boulevard. That's a 4-lane divided section, curb and gutter, bituminous. It's been there for a number of years. It's showing its age. We were planning to do a reclaim. However, it still has almost an 80-year-old concrete pavement underneath it that really needs to be removed before doing any work. We knew we had to go after that, and that road's starting to show its age. So that's just one of the projects in here. We knew we had to move forward. So looking at that, we've seen a benefit with our transportation tax, which we always, as you do your budgeting, you're conservative on what your revenues are going to be, and you always look at your expenses and you try and dial those in. We've been fortunate throughout COVID. We looked at it, finance looked at it, we thought the numbers would come in lower just because we thought consumers would spend less. However, we were fortunate that the numbers came in a little better than expected. So the extra additional costs on this project will be absorbed by that transportation tax. So it's not levy, it's specific transportation tax.
Thank you, Joe. Further discussion. Commissioner Look.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm just, I know we have to bite the bullet on this, so there's no way we can get behind on road work. We see communities that have done that, and pretty soon it's just such a large figure that you can barely even handle it, and that's a problem, so we have to bite the bullet. Unfortunately, We see kind of the effects of an adverse energy policy at the federal level. It's coming down, it's impacting personal people, it's vacating their bank accounts, it's impacting county level. We're seeing it in this, we're seeing it everywhere. And so it's a problem. It's a problem because what dollars, the sales tax dollars, while they can cover in this instance, could have been used for something else had they not had to cover. And that's a challenge that we have, is that now we're burning up those dollars, and we have, like every county, we have significant need out there on roadways, improvements for safety and everything else. And so it is very frustrating. It is very, very frustrating what rolls downhill and comes to us and how it impacts us in the real world, and we're seeing it on this project.
Now, also, I guess it was mentioned at the committee, so I'll mention it here, but we are a victim of our own success, along with many other counties and cities and states where federal dollars and state dollars were acquired for a lot of highway projects in the last couple of years, a lot more than we're used to. Well, because of that, every contractor is booked up and busy. And when that happens, they set the price. Their bids come in higher, you're gonna do the job, you take the lowest bid, even if it's $2 million or $3 million over your engineer's estimates. So again, we're victims of our own success. I would say it's be careful what you wish for, but either way, it's progress. We need to move forward. We need to get our roads fixed properly, and this is, and maintained, and this is how we're gonna do it. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
That item passes. Next, we'll move on to item 6. The committee recommends award of a contract to Forest Lake Contracting in the amount of $667,873 for the intersection improvements on Coon Rapids Boulevard at Blackfoot Street in the city of Coon Rapids. This is the aforementioned project near Mercy Hospital. This is not, however, the roadway part of the project, but the semaphore at Blackfoot.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brassad. Further discussion? Joe, I don't think we need an explanation. We've kind of talked this one through quite often. And I know this one came in, and I will say it, this one came in a little bit higher because of a consultant's error. And we made the city of Coon Rapids aware of that their share has to go up, our share has to go up. Everybody's in agreement. We're also in agreement that we're going to work with that consultant to make sure that they're responsible for that omission or error. If I misspoke, please say so now.
Nope, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That item passes. We had some informational items. You can read those at your leisure. For now, that will conclude the Transportation Committee report. We'll move on to the Parks Committee report. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Parks Committee met on Tuesday, June 7th at Bunker Beach Water Park in the Bunker Hills Regional Park, just a few days prior to the grand opening on last Friday. So I'm sure Jeff Perry will give us an update on that as we move through this, but we'll get right to our action items. The first action item, the committee recommended to the county board the adoption of resolution 2022 PRK 05, accepting a donation gift from the Centerville Lions Club. And I know Commissioner Reinert is well aware of the Lions Club and their great work that they do, so I'll give him some time to tell us a little bit about them as he makes the offer of the resolution.
Very successful Lions Club in Centerville, actually, and the ice fishing tournament that they run in the winter is very well attended. You get out there and you wonder if the ice is going to hold it all up. This year it was extremely cold, but still extremely fun. They also do a great rib dinner night, which is well attended as well. Very successful, and every year they do share some of their benefit and some of their profits by donating to our Parks Department, so we do appreciate that. And with that, I will make a motion.
The resolution is before you to accept a donation from the Centerville Lions Club. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes unanimously.
Item number 2, Mr. Chair, is the committee recommends to the county board to authorize resolution 2022 PRK 06, supporting a master plan amendment for the minor boundary adjustment at the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes Reserve. This is kind of an interesting balance between a couple different pieces of property, so I'll have Jeff Perry explain that a little bit better to make sure I have the right information before the board.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jeff Perry, Park Director for Anoka County. Mr. Chair and members, this is a simple land swap. The Trunk Highway 10 Ramsey Boulevard project in the city of Ramsey requires 3.6 acres to make that a successful project. Very important public safety traffic flow project in the city of Ramsey in the Trunk Highway 10 corridor. And since 3.6 acres of land is being reappropriated for transportation purposes, it needs to be replaced with equal or greater value. And fortunately, the Anoka County Highway Department had 3.6 acres out in the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes area. So we're just going to realign the boundary here. So that's what this resolution is supporting the realignment of the boundary to include this replacement 3.6 acres of property within the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes. So with that, Mr. Chair, that's a brief overview of this resolution.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Mr. Perry? Seeing none, is there an offer of the resolution?
Yes, I'd like to move to adopt resolution 2022 PK or PRK 07.
I believe we're on 06.
That's what I meant.
There is a resolution before us for resolution 2022-PRK06. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Another unanimous vote. On to item 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee recommends the county board to authorize resolution 2022 PRK 07, supporting a Minnesota Historical Society Legacy Grant application for improvements to the Banfield Lock Historic House. In 2020, Anoka County hired Collaborative Design to conduct a condition assessment on Banfield Tavern. The conditions assessment provided a third-party review of the current conditions of the exterior envelope, the structure, the mechanical systems, the electrical systems, and the interior finishes to guide the county in a long-term use of the building. The assessment provided recommendations and rough cost estimates for the needed improvements. Because the building is on the National Register of Historic Places, it is eligible for arts and culture legacy funding. To apply for these funds, the county has hired Collaborative Design, which has historic preservation experience, to develop construction documents for the replacement of the siding and the roof. The construction documents are required as part of that application. The award committee typically only awards projects that are shovel-ready, so we're trying to make sure we get this all approved and moved forward to them. The funding application will be for $200,000, and the park staff anticipate being able to replace the siding and roof for that amount. If awarded, construction would occur in 2023. So that's what you have before us today, so that we can get the final resolution moved forward and get that Historical Society Legacy Grant application done.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'd like to offer the resolution.
Commissioner Meisner has offered resolution 2022-PRK07. Any further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, good luck with this, because I know that it needs lots of repair and investment. And then I also just wanted to take this opportunity, because in this area you are also collecting data from the community for the Master Parks Plan. So you can go to the Anoka County Parks website to just give the input around that. I know too, I walk those trails quite often, and you've got the lawn signs with the QR code, so easy access there too. But I did want to make a note of that. And if there's anything else that you'd like to add, again, this is the community's opportunity to share their input. And so I just want to make sure that they know that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Meisner, and you hit the nail on the head, that those are the ways that the public can engage in the process, and we want to hear from the community and the public and listen to their desires moving forward. It's their future, it's their park system, and it's an excellent opportunity to provide feedback at this point in time.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you. Just follow-up question. And then when does that opportunity close? I can't remember the end date.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner, typically we put it out for 90 days. So we just put it out on the street recently, so it'll be throughout the summer months here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will pass unanimously. Next item.
Item number 4, the committee recommends the county board to award a contract to the 106 Group LTD for the Phase 2 archaeological evaluation performed for the Rice Creek North Regional Trail Expansion Project from Golden Lake Elementary to Baldwin Park in Circle Pines. Recently, the county received $500,000 in state bonding for the design and engineering of the segment of the Rice Creek North Regional Trail. That is what we call the missing link of that massive trail that we have that runs throughout the county. As the project is located along the Rice Creek, which is a known area for archaeological resources, the department, working with the purchasing department, hired 106 Group to conduct a Phase 1 study for the proposed Rice Creek North Regional Trail. Based on the Phase 1 study report findings, the State Historical Preservation Office requires a Phase 2 study. So we're going to begin Phase 2 of this study. Now, this is an area in Rice Creek that we pretty much expected that we may run into this situation due to the fact that, many decades ago, this area was an area for Native peoples to live and hunt and fish and have their communities, because it's right close. It's some higher land, good land for trails, but it was right close to the fishing and other things that would sustain life so well many decades ago. So we knew we were probably going to run into this. We did run into something similar within the Rice Creek Park when we were looking at the bicycle trails, the single-track trails we were looking at. So we kind of expected this to come. So we need to get this approved so that we can move forward on Phase 2.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd move to adopt, I guess to enter into the contract C0009305. And I guess I would also like to say that I'm so happy that this is finally being addressed, this missing link, as we've been referring to it as, to connect the entire trail system in Anoka County. This is the piece that's missing. It's been desired for decades to get this done, but because of the topography there, it's just was always going to be a very expensive, small piece to fit in. And so I'm very glad that we're finding the dollars now and that this is finally getting done. And I'm sure that there'll be a lot of happy people, so.
That's a very long motion, Commissioner Ramsey.
Yeah, I could keep going.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, so can we have the missing link be the official name of it somewhere? Because I just think that is great. That's very funny. Anyway.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
That item passes.
And we did have a couple informational items, but I kind of wanted to give Jeff an opportunity to let us know how the kickoff of Bunker Beach went on Friday. And I know we had a little weather problems on the weekend probably, but not too bad. And I'm sure the place is packed today. So, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Exciting opening day last Friday. We had Twin Cities Live out there conducting live interviews, generating interest for the public. And we had, I would say, a moderate weekend, opening weekend, with the temperatures and a few rain showers here and there. But I assure you, we're ready to serve the public today. We open in 36 minutes, and I'm sure they're waiting in line as we speak. So very encouraged. Water park is functioning great. All systems are a go, and we truly look forward to serving the public.
Thanks, Jeff. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Let's get to the public safety report and Commissioner Brastad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two action items. Both are fairly routine, but very important. The first is I would recommend approval and execution of a memorandum of understanding for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, also known as the JAG program, between the City of Coon Rapids, City of Fridley, and Anoka County in the amount of $24,048.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that item passes. And I did neglect to point out that this is actually a committee chair report. So I will make that statement now, and we move on to item 2.
And my next item is to recommend adoption of Resolution 2022-PS05, which is accepting dedicated donation from Mark McDonough, who actually, he trains canines, and he generally charges $17,500 for the purchase and training of our new canines. Mark has donated $10,000 of the cost to purchase the canine in the form of a reduction to his fee. So we appreciate his generosity, and I'll offer that resolution.
The resolution has been offered and is before us. I will make the comment that Mark McDonough is a retired Coon Rapids police officer and served the city of Coon Rapids well for many years and continues to help the public safety community in his work with his dogs. So we thank him for this very generous donation. Further discussions? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That resolution is adopted.
And that concludes my report.
And with the conclusion of that report, it does conclude our agenda for the county board meeting for today. Again, congratulations to Ann and Tony on their awards. Thank you. We are adjourned.
New relation.